Hey, friends, welcome back to the LV Parents Podcast. I'm your host, Adam. I'm so excited you're joining us today. We are continuing a series about the phases of development in the life of your child. Now, today, we're going to be talking about the preschool phase, or maybe you like to call it the wheels on the bus phase, or the tiny handprints everywhere phase, or will I ever sleep again phase. Whether you have a tiny baby, a toddler, or big, independent, almost kindergartner, we want you to know that the preschool phase is incredible and exhausting. Now, before we keep going, I want to define what I mean by phase again. Now, a phase is a specific time frame in a kid's life where you can leverage distinct opportunities to influence their future. Now, here's the key word I want to get into today: opportunities. Now, research tells us that as a tiny preschooler, their brains are developing with all different kinds of new things, with opportunities to help them grow and develop habits and shape their thinking in ways that will influence the rest of their lives. So I want to dive into this preschool phase because maybe you've noticed that your preschooler, they touch everything. They need so many snacks and they ask a ton of questions. That's because, well, they're preschoolers. Did you know that a baby's brain will actually double in growth in the first year? It's pretty incredible. And by age 2, a child's brain is smaller than adults, but yet it has 50% more synapses. And by the age of 3, a child's brain is twice as active as an adult's brain. And lastly, by the age of 5, a child's brain is 90% developed. That's a whole lot happening in such a little brain. Now, each child's brain produces more than 1 million neural connections each second in the first 5 years of life. And that's why the preschool years are pivotal for building a foundation that will influence your child's life, whether that be socially, emotionally, linguistically, even spiritually. I mean, that's pretty fascinating data, right? We could go on and on about brain development and faith all day, but let's focus on one big idea. Preschoolers, they think like artists. Now, maybe you notice that your preschooler is a little messy, a little abstract, and maybe they like to use color or sound to express themselves. So, like artists, a preschooler learns best when they can make something with their hands and use all five senses to participate in an activity. Maybe that you've noticed that your preschooler likes to put everything in their mouth or has a certain affinity for crayons on the walls. Even movement, music, and art, they're all critical parts of learning at this phase and so beneficial for your child's development. Now, one of the best ways you can engage with your preschooler and to help them learn is to play. So you have to play with your child. You got to get down on the floor and play with them and engage in conversations through that play. You got to get a little messy and encourage your child to explore the world with their five senses, because this is a strategic way to engage their brains at this phase and ultimately help them learn and grow. All right, here's another big idea. Preschoolers are motivated by safety, even if they're not the most safe of beings. Now, that means that they're constantly wondering, am I safe? And as a caregiver, as a parent, you can answer this question every time you show up, whether it's giving a cuddle or taking care of their physical needs. By carrying those physical needs, you're helping your preschooler explore and try new things and build confidence to step into those new situations. Now, safety often comes in forms of rhythms and boundaries. I know when I think about safety, I think about when my child was on the playground. And there's actually a study where a child was placed on the playground without fences. I know, kind of scary, right? But when they played, they actually stayed close to the playground equipment. Then the kids were placed on the same playground with fences. And surprisingly enough, they ventured out and they explored areas around the playground. So when you think about it, when the fences or the boundaries were in place, the child felt free to move and explore around, to see more of what the land entailed. But the same is true for our homes. Having fences or boundaries for that matter, or habits that we can stick to can help a preschooler feel safe to explore. All right, here's another big idea. There's a safety in numbers as well. Every time a preschooler sees a face they recognize at church or at school or in any public forum, it reminds them that they have a safe place with safe people. Now, listen, as a parent, I want you to know something: that every lunch you make, every mess that you help make, and even clean up, you're helping shape your child's story. You only have 52 weeks to show up in the life of your toddler at this phase before they ultimately move on to the next stage of development. But here's the thing, every day matters. Every day you have to make it count. Because remember, it's not just a phase. Don't miss it.